Rain hit like bullets. Horizontal. Sharp. I stood in my hallway, one shoe off, keys still in hand, scrubs damp from another 12-hour shift that ended with a kid coding in my arms. I wasn't even through with that trauma when the doorbell rang. Not once. 3 times. Quick. Measured. I opened it. There she was. A car seat. No note. A soaked fleece blanket draped over a pale baby with lips tinged purple. Tiny fists clenched. Body trembling. The street was empty. I stepped out into the rain. Looked both ways. No headlights. No silhouette ducking behind bushes. Just the wind and my own ragged breath. Then I saw it, taped to the handle of the car seat. A yellowed envelope. Inside. She's yours now. I'm done. Oh, I didn't need a full name. I knew the pen, the curves, the indifference. Octavia. I backed into the house, carrying the whole seat inside like it was a ticking bomb. She's freezing, I whispered. My hands shook as I peeled the blanket away. The baby coughed once. Then again. Vet. Scary. I flipped the heater on, grabbed towels, laid her on the couch, searched the bag. Diapers. 1 half-full bottle of formula, a pacifier, and a crumpled receipt. Notarized custody transfer. Emergency guardianship. Recipient, Jahi Monroe. Signed, Octavia Walsh. Date, yesterday. I dropped it. The room spun. I called the last number I had for Octavia. Disconnected. Called her ex. No answer. Then I did something stupid. I dialed Vivian Hayes. The mother-in-law. Not mine. Octavia's. Wealthy. Pristine. Unmovable. The kind of woman who speaks like every word has been passed through a filter. She answered on the second ring. It's Jahi, I said. Your granddaughter. Someone left her. I know, she said. Cool. Flat. Not a hint of surprise. Wait, what? She's your problem now. Handle it. Click. Just like that. Like I was housekeeping and someone left behind a mess. I stared at the baby. Her eyes flicked open for the first time. Gray. Cloudy. No recognition. Just primal fear. There's a moment in trauma when your brain splits. One half screams to run. The other freezes, does the job. Tonight I froze. I whispered, I'm not ready. No answer. Only the radiator kicking on. The rattle of wind at the glass. The baby wheezing softly. I changed her diaper on a bath towel. Warmed the bottle in a coffee mug. Googled how to hold a baby at 3:16 a.m. I kept the car seat by my bed that night. Every time she coughed, I jolted up. Every time she went quiet, I panicked. Morning came. The world kept spinning. I walked into the clinic like I hadn't just inherited a human being. Like I hadn't been drafted into a war I didn't sign up for. Roz noticed. She always noticed. You look like someone died, she said, sliding me coffee. I think someone did, I muttered. Roz leaned in. Jahi, what happened? I told her. Everything. Fussed. Whispered. She stared, then said something I'd never forget. Maybe this isn't punishment. Maybe it's your second life. That afternoon, I bought formula, wipes, blankets, 2 onesies, and a new bassinet. My hands shook the whole time, but that night, the baby smiled for the first time. Like she knew, like she had picked me. I almost believed I could do it, until I got home, and found my front door slightly open. The hallway lights off, the car seat gone, and in its place, lying on the welcome mat, a single pink sock, still warm. I didn't ask for this, but someone planned it down to the minute, and they made sure I had no way out. I grabbed the pink sock like it was evidence. Still warm. The apartment was silent. Too silent. Bassinet empty. Crib undisturbed. Then, from the kitchen, a sound. A baby's cough. I bolted in, heart slamming. There she was. Sloane, lying on a folded towel beside the sink. Wide-eyed. Pale. Breathing. Beside her, a cracked photo frame. Me and Octavia at 16. The glass spidered like it had been stomped. The rattle was back, sitting beside the sink. Same rubber handle. This time, a red smear on the edge. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just locked every door in the apartment, set the chain, sat on the floor with the baby in my lap. You don't panic when you're being hunted. You get cold, quiet, efficient. I opened my laptop, logged into the building's security system. Error. Footage corrupted. All of it. From 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. They didn't just break in. They deleted their tracks. I backed up what I could to a USB, plugged it in. The screen flickered. A pop. Burnt plastic. The drive melted inside the port. My mouth tasted metal. My fingers tingled. I was being watched. This isn't a warning, I thought. This is phase 2. Cutscene. I didn't go back to work. I called in. Roz showed up with coffee and a loaded look. She didn't ask, just said, "What do you need?" I told her everything. No drama. No edits. She never blinked. "You need to disappear," she said. Now. We packed fast. Formula. Diapers. A burner phone. She booked a motel off the I-90 under her cousin's name. Paid cash. Left no trace. The place smelled like bleach and desperation, but it had locks and a bathroom door that clicked shut. I didn't sleep. I just watched. The window, the hallway, the light under the door. Someone knocked at 2:08 a.m. 3 taps. Same rhythm. I didn't move. 10 seconds later, a piece of paper slid under the door. It read, "You weren't supposed to keep her. Let her go before it's too late." The handwriting wasn't Octavia's. I picked up Sloane, held her close. She didn't cry, just buried her face in my chest. Roz called back. Her voice shook. "Jahi, there's something you need to see." She texted me a picture, a snapshot from across the street. Me, holding Sloane, through the motel window. I dropped the phone. That window faced a brick wall. There shouldn't be a line of sight, unless someone was inside the opposite building. I closed the blinds, taped towels over the edges, blocked the peephole with a Band-Aid. My heart didn't slow down for 3 hours. Morning, motel lobby, coffee burnt. I needed answers, so I made one last call, to the notary office on the receipt. Disconnected. I drove there. Strip mall. Windows boarded. Sign removed. But inside the mail slot, taped to the frame, was a scrap of paper. Weather damaged. Property transferred. File closed. I snapped a photo. Back in the car, a red blinking light caught my eye. Rear view mirror. A tiny black camera wired under the dash. I jerked it out. The light went dark. That's when the call came. Unknown number. I answered. "Ms. Monroe." A man's voice. "Come. Official. This is Connor Blake. I was hired to track Octavia." I froze. She paid me 6 months ago. Told me if anything happened to her, if someone came after the baby, I'd find you and protect the truth. What truth? I whispered. A pause. There's a second custody agreement. Notarized. Hidden. Signed by you. You never saw it. I didn't sign anything, I snapped. That's the point, he said. Twist. A forged agreement. Legally transferring full guardianship to Vivian Hayes in the event of your emotional instability or death. I couldn't speak. You're not supposed to raise the baby, he said. You're just supposed to keep her alive long enough for them to claim her. I heard the click of a second call coming in. Blocked number. I answered. It was Octavia. Her voice raw. Scared. They lied to you, she said. They lied to all of us. Don't trust anyone. Especially not. The line cut. Dead. Sloane stirred in the back seat. I turned to check on her and saw the motel curtains part. Just enough to catch a flash of something behind the glass. A blinking red light. The camera's light was off this morning. That means someone turned it off. From the inside, I didn't knock. I stood in front of Vivian Hayes' massive iron gate, drenched in sweat despite the cold, holding Sloane with one arm and buzzing the intercom with the other. "Miss Hayes is not accepting visitors," a male voice said through static. "She'll accept this one." Silence. Then the gate groaned open. The house sat like a trophy, perfect, still, smug. White marble. Black shutters. It didn't breathe. It judged. The butler met me at the door, eyes narrowing when he saw the baby. "She's asleep," I said. "Do not touch her." He didn't, but he hesitated, just long enough to make a mental note. Vivian appeared at the top of the stairs in a silk robe and pearls. At 3 p.m., she descended like she was entering a gala, not a confrontation. "Jahi," she said like the word tasted sour. "You look tired." "Save it," I snapped. "You know why I'm here." "Enlighten me." "Octavia, the forged papers, the camera in my car, the threats, the break-in." She moved past me, poured herself a drink. So many accusations. No proof. I followed. Why me? Why dump her on me just to take her back? She turned. Cold. Sharp. "Because people like you obey." The words hung in the air like gas. One spark and they'd ignite. "Octavia, sign the guardianship over to me." "Temporarily," she cut in. "As a buffer. You were never meant to keep her. You're out of your mind." "I'm protecting an heir." That stopped me. Sloane shifted in my arms. Her eyes fluttered. "What heir?" I asked. Vivian raised her glass. "Lineage is about power, not affection. A baby born in chaos can still be refined, redirected, and returned to her rightful station. She's not a commodity." Vivian took a long sip. "You mistake love for leverage," she said. "One is fleeting. The other buys influence." My blood went ice. Then she smiled. "But you always were sentimental. That's why you were chosen." "You forged my name," I said. "That's a felony." She didn't flinch. "But who would believe you? A nurse. Single. Emotional. Raising a child not your own." Silence. The butler returned. 2 men flanked him. Suits. Sunglasses. Too clean. I backed up. "Don't," I warned. One reached for Sloane. I turned, ran, slamming into a hallway table, knocking over a vase that shattered like a gunshot. Adrenaline kicked. I barreled toward the kitchen, kicked open the back door. Sunlight blinded me. Then I was outside, barefoot on cold tile, clutching my daughter, heartbeat screaming in my ears. Vivian's voice echoed behind me. "Escort her out. Make sure she deletes everything." The suits chased me across the garden. I ducked through hedges, slid over wet flagstone. A gardener's shed. Unlocked. I slipped inside. Breath fast. Chest burning. I peeked out. One of them pulled out a phone. Dialed. "Where's the damn file?" he hissed. The other man replied. "She didn't bring it. Probably destroyed the copy. They're useless without it. We need the original." Pause. "Then, or we need her gone." I clutched Sloane tighter. They moved away. I waited 5 minutes. Maybe 10. Then I ran. Cut scene. Raza's car screeched to a stop 2 blocks from the estate. I jumped in. She didn't ask. Just drove. "Jesus, Jahi, what the hell happened to you?" I looked at Sloane. She had a scratch on her cheek. I didn't remember when it happened. "I need to talk to Connor. Now." The motel felt smaller than ever. Paranoia dripped off the walls. Connor sat on the bed, laptop open. "I tracked something," he said. "The paper Octavia signed, it's real. But there's a second page." He showed me. A clause. Buried deep. If the temporary guardian is found mentally unfit or physically incapacitated, sole custody reverts to the maternal next of kin, or legally designated third-party heir, as named in the sealed supplement. My stomach dropped. Who's the third party? He clicked again. Vivian Hayes. It's a kill switch, he said. They baited you. Kept you close. If anything happened, accident, stress, God forbid a misstep with CPS, they step in legally. That's why they're watching me, I whispered. They don't want custody. They want cause. Connor nodded. They're building a case. My phone buzzed. Blocked number. I answered. Jahi Monroe. A deep male voice. This is Desmond Hayes. I believe we've met in shadow. I'd like to step into the light. My skin crawled. I have no interest in theatrics, I snapped. No, he said. But I think you'll be very interested in what your sister did with the original agreement. My throat tightened. She didn't give it to you? He asked. She gave it to someone she trusted. He chuckled. Low. Dangerous. Well, that's unfortunate, because that someone is already dead. I didn't breathe. He continued. You're not supposed to survive this long with that baby. Get out while you still can. The line went dead. I turned to Connor. We're running out of time. He looked me dead in the eye. No, we're running out of options. Someone's already broken into my apartment, but they didn't take the baby. They left something else. A bloodstained toy rattle I've never seen before. I didn't pack. I grabbed formula, diapers, Sloane's blanket, my wallet, the burner phone, Connor's printed notes. Everything else could burn. I kept hearing Desmond's voice replaying in my head. You weren't supposed to survive this long with that baby. People say the truth sets you free. That's a lie. Truth is a blade, sharp, cold, and designed to cut you open before you see it coming. Cut scene. The motel room felt wrong the second we returned. Door closed. Curtains drawn. AC humming. Everything in place. Two in place. I set Sloane on the bed. She curled into the blanket and yawned. My breath fogged the air. I hadn't touched the thermostat. Then I noticed it. A dent in the carpet. Circular. Small. Exactly the size of a tripod foot. I crouched. Pressed my fingers into the flattened fibers. Recently made. Someone had set up a camera inside our room. My pulse crashed against my ribs. I scanned the walls, the mirror, the vents, the smoke detector. Then, a flicker of red behind the dresser. I yanked it forward, found a pinhole camera wired into the outlet. The light turned off the moment my shadow hit it. Someone was watching me watch them. I smashed it with the heel of my shoe. Cut scene. I called Connor. They were inside, I whispered, while we were gone. Not possible, he said. I locked your door myself. Well, they didn't need your permission. Rustling on his end. Keys. Papers. Stress. Listen carefully, he said. There are two kinds of hunters. Those who chase you and those who shepherd you. You're dealing with shepherds. They don't have to run after you. They guide you where they want you. I swallowed hard. Where do they want me? That's what I'm trying to figure out. He paused. And Jahi, you have to be faster than their story about you. Once the wrong narrative sticks, it's over. A quote flickered through my mind. Most people lose their lives long before they die. They lose them the moment someone else tells their story for them. That was happening to me. I was being rewritten. Cut scene. At 10:14 p.m., someone knocked. Not at our door. Next door. Low voices. A creak. A thud. Then silence. Sloane whimpered. I held her. Tried to soothe her. Her breath brushed my collarbone. Warm. Innocent. If they wanted her, they'd take her. They'd already proved that. I wasn't sleeping another minute. We're leaving, I said. Roz pulled up 10 minutes later, in the dim yellow of a dying parking lot lamp. She had a hoodie on, hair tucked away, shoulders stiff. You look like hell, she said. I'm being stalked by a billionaire matriarch and two men who probably own matching graves for me. Sorry I didn't dress up. She almost laughed. Almost. Then her eyes landed on Sloane. We'll get through this, she whispered. Remember what I told you once? Bravery isn't loud. It's the small step you take when your knees want to collapse. This is that step. She drove us to an AMC parking lot, crowded, loud neon lights. Good cover. Connor was waiting. He had the custody documents spread out on the front seat of his SUV, highlighted like a battlefield map. Look at this. He pointed to the second clause. Fitness evaluation. Mandatory background checks. CPS oversight. Those are normal procedures, I argued. He shook his head. Not when the evaluator is handpicked by the Hayes Foundation. My stomach turned. Vivian. They sponsor the department that handles emergency guardianship filings, he said. She doesn't just have influence. She has infrastructure. Another blow. Another twist. Another piece of the trap. Why? I asked. Why go through all this? Why steal a baby only to dump her on me? Connor hesitated. Because if Octavia had surrendered custody through the state, the adoption would have triggered federal review. Too many eyes. Too much oversight. And giving her to me avoids all that, I said softly. It made it look familial. Clean. Safe. And now. They want her back, with legal immunity and a clean transfer. You were just the incubator for paperwork. My throat closed. A siren passed by on the street. Blue light flashed across the windshield, briefly painting Connor's face in cold shadow. Cut scene. We drove to Sloane's pediatric appointment. I insisted. If CPS got involved later, medical records mattered. Documentation mattered. Everything had to look normal. Inside the clinic, the fluorescent lights buzzed. A little boy coughed in the waiting room. A mom scrolled her phone. Ordinary chaos. But my eyes kept catching on a man near the window. Ball cap, dark jacket, hands in pockets. Not reading. Not tapping his phone. Just still. Watching me. I looked away. Looked back. Gone. My heart misfired. I clutched the diaper bag so hard the zipper cut into my palm. Cut scene. Back at the motel, the air felt heavier. I checked the room twice. Windows. Locks. Corners. Then the phone rang. Old landline. Beige. Sticky. Cheap. No one had that number but the front desk. And Roz. And Connor. I picked up. A woman's whisper threaded through the static. You have to leave the motel. Tonight. My breath caught. Who is this? They're coming for the baby. Who? But she hung up. I stared at the dead receiver, cold spreading through my ribs. Behind me, Sloane shifted in her sleep. Her tiny hand opened and closed, grasping the air. The motel lights flickered. A shadow passed beneath the door. Slow. Deliberate. Someone stopped outside our room. Then the doorknob turned once. Twice. Testing the lock. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. They stood there, listening, waiting. Then, a soft scrape. A small, weightless sound. A slip of paper pushed under the door. For words. You're already too late. Rain rattled the motel window. Neon sign outside flickered like a warning. I paced the cramped room, Sloane in my arms. Her breathing was soft. Too calm. Too fragile. The phone on the nightstand vibrated. Burner phone. No number. No name. I didn't answer. Then, a loud knock at the door. 3 rapid raps. My heart stopped. I pressed Sloane against my chest. Hid her beneath the thin motel blanket. Door rattled. The lock clicked. Footsteps. Slow. Calculated. I sucked in a breath. Held it. The handle turned. I sprang. Dragged Sloane behind me. Toward the bathroom. Concrete tile. Cold under bare feet. I slammed the door. Locked it. Hopped onto the bathtub. Beans iced on my skin. Under the sink cabinet, I found the only weapon, a fire extinguisher. The door creaked. Light through the crack. A shadow. Then the glass shattered, quiet. Sharp. Explosive. They didn't scream. They don't need to. Dark shapes flooded in. I popped the extinguisher. Spray blinded them. White fog. Something hit me. Hard. Pain ricocheted. I screamed. Sloane stirred. I grabbed her, leapt out the back window. Dripping with pain, adrenaline, and fury. Cold rain hit. Night swallowed us. Cut scene. Tires squealed across the gravel lot. A van idling, engine low. I shoved open the rear door. Go. I hissed. Roz jerked the wheel. Red taillights blurred into darkness. My ribs burned. The extinguisher left a burn on my shoulder. I turned in the back seat. Sloane's cheek was scratched, a thin red line I couldn't wipe away. She closed her eyes. The van lurched. Rain pounded the windows. A single thought hammered in my skull. They'll come back. Connor's number popped on the burner phone. I answered on the first ring. He sounded calm. Too calm. I have something, he said. Check your email now. I muted the phone, reopened my laptop. Files. Photos. Documents. A single folder named Group Chat _1489. Opened. Names. Threads. Dates. Money transfers. Plans. Vivian Hayes. Desmond Hayes. And a name I never expected, Aaron Monroe. My ex-fiancé. His face stared back at me from the screen. Timestamp older than my scars. The chat was brutal. She's unfit. Custody expires at midnight. Clean transfer. 5 million. And then a link video. I clicked. Video loaded. Footage. Night. A crib. A tiny hand. A woman's voice whispering, watch her. Keep her alive. My stomach turned to ice. Slow motion. Camera zoom on rubber-soled shoes, stepping away. Then black. I dropped the laptop. Rain spattered on the windshield. Shock. Rage. Horror. They didn't want a child. They wanted a commodity. I turned to Connor. They never intended to kill me. They intended me to raise their child until she meant something. He closed his eyes, palms pressed to his forehead. You need to disappear again, or you bring this out, and they'll come for you harder. I shook my head. No. Cut scene. We drove. Fast. No occups. No stops. Only radio static and the hum of tires. The world sprawled out in dark patches and dim street lights. I held Sloane, felt her heartbeat against mine. Sometimes survival isn't about running, I whispered. It's about standing long enough for your enemy to slip. Her fingers curled around mine. I told myself that, over and over. I parked in a deserted warehouse district. Rain gushed off the roof in sheets. Empty loading docks. Rusted rollers. Echoing silence. Connor led the way under flickering security lights. A battered door. A padlock. He cut it. Click. Snap. Metal echoing. Inside files. Form after form. Adoption papers. Guardianship assignments. Dummy companies. Shell addresses. Bank transfers wired to offshore accounts. Stacks. Under one stack, a leather folder. Connor flipped it open. Inside, the original custody agreement, signed by Octavia Walsh, and a second sheet, lineage clause naming Vivian Hayes as legal heir if the guardian becomes incapacitated. Below, a printed transfer of funds, 5 million. Silence. Cold. Final. Connor met my gaze. They never wanted adoption, he said slowly. They wanted control. Sloane stirred, whimpered. I reached out. The overhead light flickered, then died. Pitch black. We heard footsteps, heavy boots, rubber soles, in unison. Footsteps circling the warehouse. Connor gripped my arm. Run, he whispered. We bolted. Rain hit us like shards. Car tires squealed in the distance. I wrapped Sloane tighter. Connor shouted, split! Take the east exit now. I hesitated. Security cameras at every corner. No escape in sight. but Sloane's breath was ragged. I darted toward a chain-link fence, fingers bleeding from the wire. Slipped through. Connor behind me. We hit the street. Rain masked our footprints. Cars passed. Horns blared. We ducked into an alley. I pulled off the hotel blanket, draped it over us like armor. We ran until lungs burned, until footsteps faded. Cut scene. In the back seat, under a tarp in the trunk of Roz's car. They couldn't follow us here. Connor slid the leather folder across the seat. Print this. Multiple copies. FedEx to the DA's office and local news. I didn't trust it. Not yet. But I nodded. The world slept. But for a second I felt hope. Power is not in silence, I murmured. Power is in exposure. Sloane stirred. Eyes fluttered open. She cooed. Soft and fleeting. The radio flickered on. A news report about missing babies. Unknown parents. Coincidence. Or timing. I turned off the radio. Rain battered the windshield. Behind us, darkness. Ahead, a choice. Expose them. Or disappear forever. The van's engine turned over. I gripped the folder and whispered. They wanted me to die. They got unlucky. They arrived before dawn. Black SUVs, tinted windows, police lights strobed against glassy pavements. My phone rang, Connor's number. I answered on the first ring. Get ready, he said. Come. I held Sloane close, her breathing soft, almost peaceful, in her sleep. We stepped out. The sky was bruised gray. At the courthouse, the doors opened wide. Security checked bags. Metal detectors buzzed. I watched the scanner beep again, but I passed. No knife. No gun. Just a folder in my hand. Inside, the hall felt suffocating. Marble floors. Cameras. Flashing lenses of reporters. Whispers chasing me like vultures. I passed. Connor and our attorney, Marisol, flanked me. She nodded, firm. Silent promise. We walked into courtroom, 3G, light pouring through tall windows. Dust motes dancing. Vivian Hayes sat at the defense table. Perfect. Hair done. Diamond studs catching light. Desmond beside her, pale. Aaron, my ex, in the back, hands clenched. 3 years, blood, fear, lies. All came down to this one folder. Marisol stood. She laid the papers on the judge's desk. Evidence. Forged guardianship forms, offshore account transfers, surveillance photos showing the motel break-in camera placement, the warehouse docks, shell companies, wire trails, money labeled custody, contingency. A slew of chats, emails, metadata, timestamps, everything. Slow motion moment. The judge flipped through the first pages. Eyes raised. Courtroom hush. I thought I saw disbelief. Then resolve. Marisol pressed. Your Honor, these documents prove premeditation, exploitation of a child, and racketeering under federal laws. We are not dealing with a custody dispute. This is child trafficking for profit. Murmurs rose. Cameras flashed. Vivian tried to stand. Her voice sick sweet. You have no standing. We. Snap. The bailiff cut her off. Handcuffs. Her face drained of color. Desmond gasped. Aaron's eyes widened. The judge pounded the gavel. Custody is awarded to Ms. Monroe. The defendants will remain in custody pending federal indictment. Paper fluttered like wings over a grave. The chains of silence shattered. Outside, sunlight was harsh, cold, real. I blinked, held Sloane. Reporters shouted my name. Flashes, voices, chaotic. I kissed her hair, whispered, You're free now, kiddo. A neighbor nurse from my old ER, Roz, stepped forward, raincoat drenched, eyes shining. You did it, she said, voice thick. I shook. We did. She added softly, family isn't blood. It's the ones who show up when the world collapses. Sloane gurgled, reached for my face, her fingers soft. In that moment, I felt a truth settle, hard, unshakable. Truth doesn't ask permission. It demands attention. Weeks later, in a small apartment, my apartment again, fresh coat of paint, a crib in the corner, children's drawings taped to the wall by the entryway. I sat on the floor, Sloane beside me on a rug. She held a crayon, coloring big loops. Random, chaotic, perfect. Her laughter echoed through the empty spaces. I exhaled. The past was a tangle of scars, legal files, shattered glass, midnight knocks. But the future? Bright, unmarked. Life isn't about the cards you're dealt, I murmured to her, letting my voice catch in the quiet room. It's about the hands you choose to hold. I picked up a crayon, drew a house, a door wide open, light streaming out. Sloane looked at me, smiled. We were home. In the mail slot, a thin envelope, unmarked, no return. I hesitated, then threw it into the shredder. Done. Because I learned long ago, some doors are meant to stay closed. I wrapped my arms around Sloane. Family, I whispered, is the promise we make, not the paperwork. And in the hush of our new home, I believed her.